Hello future tech leaders, I'm Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Today we are going to talk about SailPoint. Basically, what is SailPoint? Anyone? Any idea what is SailPoint? SailPoint is a tool by the American company which is basically to manage the identity and access and governance. Correct. SailPoint is an application. It's a tool. It's a software program which is developed by SailPoint Technology Inc. It's one of the organization. Basically, SailPoint is an IM provider. Whatever process we discussed far, we can fulfill using SailPoint product. Not only SailPoint, maybe if your organization expectation is something different, according to their requirement, they can pick other tools as well. It could be Savient, Forjak, Oracle, IDM, anything. But why do we need to implement SailPoint? That's what we are going to learn today in a briefly. Whatever process we discussed, far like user onboarding, compliance, governance, everything. We can automate user access. We can improve security with extra production using SailPoint. We can improve security with extra production using SailPoint. SailPoint will help to meet all the legal requirements. We can implement role-based access control. We can implement role-based access control, which means if user is a developer, according to their nature of job, our user may be project manager, our QA engineer, our help desk guy, IT support guy, finance team guy. According to their role, our help desk guy. According to their role, nature of job, access can be granted automatically in SailPoint. And SailPoint will ensure faster onboarding, I would say. When new employees join in the organization, SailPoint will be provide all the access quickly. Whatever access needs to be given, we can predefine that. Once employee joins in the organization, all the required application access will be given automatically using SailPoint. No need to waiting for any IT team or any other team to set up their access manually. Obviously, it's going to speed up the process and lets employees start working right away from day one. Obviously, faster onboarding we can expect from SailPoint and similarly automated review of access. I think yesterday we discussed in the governance, right? Each and every user access needs to be reviewed. Obviously, we need to automate all the access review from SailPoint. It will help. It will provide all the list of access that we can easily review. I would say we can have a best control over what user can do, what user cannot do, everything with the help of SailPoint. And no need to rely on multiple external applications. We can perform all the activity, all the EM process with only one application instead of depending on many different applications. And when it comes to scalability, no need to worry about that because whenever your company grows, SailPoint will handle all these EM process effectively. Whether you add more employees or whether you require to work on many applications or many other different systems, SailPoint is designed in such a way. When it comes to scalability, we can scale up without needing a major enhancement. It's very flexible application, SailPoint application, when it comes to scalability. Obviously, already I said, we can prevent cyber attack also and we can improve productivity. Let's say SailPoint automate a lot of repetitive tasks. I would say not only user onboarding. Other than that, let's say we have some XYZ application. We need to retrieve the data. We need to perform some other activity. No need to depend on any manual resources. We can bypass the entire manual work. Maybe I would say setting up a new accounts. We have to manage their password reset. Like, if you need to reset your password, you have to approach help desk team. Maybe you have to call them to reset the password, but it's not the case anymore. We can rely on SailPoint application to reset the password as well, that we can automate a lot of process, that we can improve productivity also. And SailPoint can automatically generate a lot of reports that when it comes to compliance or audit, we can easily validate, review who has access to what system, what type of changes, what kind of changes they perform. Do they provide any business justification or not? We'll have everything in one single report. It will be very helpful for audit, as I said. And especially if company needs to prove to regulation that it's following the rules and data production, it will be very helpful. And we can, when it comes to authentication authorization, that's very helpful. We can implement SSOMFA, pass-through authentication. Different type of authentication we can implement with the help in SailPoint. These are the SailPoint advantages. Whatever process we discussed, FASI everything totally, we can implement in SailPoint. And SailPoint has provided two products. One is IdentityIQ, other one is Identity. Now they have renamed the product name as Identity Security Solution, if I'm not wrong. What is the difference between IAQ and Identity now? I'll share with you the diagram also. Have you heard IAQ and IdentityNow? IAQ is we can install in our systems and IdentityNow cloud-based. One is the on-premise solution, I think, and one is the cloud-based. Cloud-based, right? Let's say we have two products, right? Using both product identity, IQ and identity. Now all the organization, they can prefer any one of these tools according to their requirement. Because both product, both application, both tool will help all the organization to fulfill all the IAM process. They can manage, they can monitor all these IAM process effectively using any one of these products. My question is, how do we decide which product needs to be implemented? Any idea? Because both products will help all the organization to manage all the IAM activity. But they serve different purposes. And when it comes to target audience, it will be different. If it is IAQ, as you guys said, it's an on-premises application, which means we need infrastructure to manage this application. Identity IP application. We need to have an infrastructure team. We need a server. We need to define the number of server hardware specification, everything from our end. That we have to manage everything within our own. On the other end, if it is an identity, now it's a cloud-based application. Basically, it's a SaaS application. What does it mean, SaaS application? What is the full form of SaaS? It's a software as a solution product. If it is a SaaS application, the entire application will be managed to be SailPoint themselves. We cannot implement any overware. But we said identity is on-premises application, right? It doesn't mean we always require a server to deploy SailPoint IdentityIQ. SailPoint IAQ, it can be deployed, it can be hosted in a cloud environment as well. There is a possibility we can go ahead with both environment on premises and cloud both. That's the major difference. Second difference, when it comes to target audience, SailPoint Identity IQ generally, it will be suitable for large organizations. I would say the large enterprises with most complex IT environment. Obviously, when the number of users, number of application, everything is going to be high. You require extensive customization to manage everything. That's where we require SailPoint IAQ. SailPoint IAQ is very famous for customization, high customization. If your organization requires high customization, they have to select IAQ rather than IdentityNow. On the other hand, SailPoint IAQ. Now we cannot expect much customization because IdentityNow will be suitable for those organizations who is looking for quick deployment. They don't need to worry about scalable solution. Because when it comes to scalability, whenever your organization grow, number of employees, application, everything will get increased. If it is IdentityNow, it will be managed by SailPoint team, that IAQ. No need to worry about that. The organization itself, they will take care. SailPoint organization. No need to worry about any scalability and all. In that scenario, it will be very easy to deploy. And other than that, when it comes to cost, IAQ will be high cost. We have to manage a lot of external system from our end. Maybe let's say if you want to manage the entire infrastructure, you have to spend more money. You should have a dedicated team to manage everything. But for our identity, now we don't require any infrastructure. It will be managed by SailPoint team themselves. As I said, it's suitable for large organization and identity. Now it's suitable for small and mid-level enterprises. That's the difference between IAQ and identity. Now, any question? Or good? And I would like to add a couple of more points. Identity. I would say it's a more traditional and customizable tool. Identity. Now it's a cloud-based and it's very ease of use application. It depends the choice between Identity, IAQ and IdentityNow. It purely depends on the organization's specific need. If organization is looking for on-premises and they are looking for more customizable, then obviously they have to pick IAQ. And it's all about their specific need, existing infrastructure, whether they prefer cloud-based or on-premises. And what about their budget? We have to calculate these things. Then the organization can decide whether they are going to go with IAQ or IdentityNow. That's the difference between IAQ and identity. Now, it clearly indicates IAQ. We can install, we can deploy, we can manage everything from our end, but IdentityNow, we cannot deploy. It will be managed in a managed and install. Everything will be taken care of by SailPoint team. And already we talk about advantages, right? SailPoint advantages. I would like to add a couple of more features which is available in SailPoint, but it's not available in other applications. In SailPoint, we have more than 75 plus out-of-the-box connector. We can implement artificial intelligence module, machine learning module, PAM, LCM. PAM all yesterday I said right. It's a CyberArk. Your organization specific need is PAM. They want to manage all the privileged access and they can go ahead for CyberArk. In SailPoint also we can implement the module, but compared to CyberArk, we didn't have that much feature. If you need to access File Access Manager or Folder Access Manager, we can implement that module as well. LCA module we can implement. These are the additional advantages what we have in SailPoint. And already we discussed about this, right? Now my next question is, let's say you are an architect. You got a requirement to deploy SailPoint application in real time. MNCs. How will you prepare the design document? What will be your approach? Rakesh, first of all, we need to understand you. What is the requirement of the business? After that, analyze the organization. What is size of the organization? After that, what is hardware and how many server database we need to for this? For the implementation, what will be followed? Basically, if your client asks you to define the server and infrastructure what they need, then obviously we have to ask. We have to interact with stakeholders, client to understand the requirement first. We have to ask them how many users do they have currently. When we are talking about users, obviously users could be customer, employees, contractors, joint ventures, partners. We have to ask them how many identities or users do they have currently. Then we can ask them what is the expectation of increasing number over a period of 3 years, 5 years, because we have to plan about the scalability also. Today maybe we have, let's example, we have 100 users. Obviously we can go ahead with 1 or 2 servers, which is sufficient to manage all 100 users. Maybe over a period of 3 years, the number of employees, number of users is going to get increased. Let's say 300 users. Obviously, the existing infrastructure, it's not capable enough to manage for all 300 users. Obviously, always we have to keep in mind about the scalability. We have to ask them what is the expectation of increasing number of users' identities over a period of next 3 years. Then we can ask them, what is the total number of applications we are managing, we are supporting as of now, and how many application accounts we are having. Identity is a SailPoint property. I hope you guys understood by the time now. And similarly, application upon is the other end. It's a target application. We have to calculate your credit. Then we can ask them, what is the count of number of managers? What do they have currently? And if they have any specific requirements. And out of these many number of applications, how many critical applications we have? How frequently they want us to review those user access? We have to ask them these questions. Based on the questions and based on the answer, we can decide the hardware prerequisite. Because if you want to define the server, you need to know how many servers we need to implement. When it comes to server hardware, you need to define RAM, processor, device, memory, everything you have to define. It's very difficult to manage everything by a single person. If you want to define as team, I would say SailPoint has recommended a hardware sizing document. Usually they will call it as footprint. You can refer the document. It will be very easy to follow. In the document, we have 5 footprint. Here you could see. In the document, we have given 5 footprint, micro footprint, small footprint, medium footprint, large footprint call. Obviously, we are going to check with client stakeholders about number of FHIR entities, application, accounts, manager policies, everything. And we will arrive at one number. According to this number, we can select any one of the footprint which is given by SailPoint. Now let's say if they have a requirement to manage less than 5,000 identity object. Identity object means we can calculate all these items. Or I would say whatever items associate with this identity, we can call it as identity object. We have a requirement where if they want us to manage less than 5,000 identity object, then we can pick micro footprint. The micro footprint will have specific hardware requirement. If it is between 5,000 to 10,000, we can pick small footprint. Small footprint will have some specific data center diagram and the number of server. Each and every server should have 4 GB RAM and it should have Windows operating system or Linux operating system. We should have 250 GB RAM or 552 GB RAM. All these information will be available over there. And what about the processor, disk space and all? If you decided, if the requirement says we have to manage between 10,000 to 50,000 identity object, then we can go ahead with medium footprint. And if it is 50,000 to 5,000 identity object, then we can go ahead with large footprint. And if it is more than 5,000 identity object, then we can reach SailPoint technical team and the engineering team directly. And they will define the hardware infrastructure, hardware requirement about the infrastructure. This is how we can define hardware specific requirement. Any question? Rakesh, you have wrote a number of identity application app accounts. What is the difference between application and app accounts? Let's say we have application called ABC. Whoever is having access to the particular ABC application, we will consider them as application accounts. It means application and app accounts are same, right? From SailPoint point of view, first we need to onboard that application. Then let's say if somebody is going to request for that application access using the permission. User will get the required application access, right? First account will be created, then the permission will be added. SailPoint are supposed to manage the entire application as well as application account. This application account, at the end it will be assigned to the identity. Application account means basically it's like a user in that application. If I'm correct. Correct. Let's say you're a developer. Once you joined an organization, your identity will be created. For all the developers, we need to given 10 different applications. Then your account needs to be created in each and every 10 applications that you can log in. You can perform your day-to-day activity, right? Those 10 application account access, I can view from using your identity. Your identity will have all the information. One thing I wanted to understand. Let's say I am the user. I am the single user who is coming from the source system like HCM or some other system. And then in 10 system, my user ID need to be created. The total identity, let's say similar case, 100 users are there and 10 applications are there. It will be like 10,000 app accounts will be counted, or it will be counted as the 1,000 account. Only how the counting will work. I'll show it from SailPoint first. Give me a minute. Let's take an example. We have a user whose name is Anton Roberts. When he joined the organization, his identity got created in SailPoint. Let's say go to his application account. As of now, he is having 3 application accounts, which means this user is having account on all these 3 applications. Correct? To provide these access into these 3 applications for any user, First, we need to ensure this application needs to be on board in SailPoint. That SailPoint can take care of all the activity. See, I have onboarded PeopleSoft Drag and Loopback Connector. We onboarded these 3 applications. Is that clear now? Yes, it's clear. No, I'm just asking about the counting, that how counting work means the 100 users. You just need to be created in the 10 accounts. It will be a contact 1000 plus 10,000 10 only. When we are on all the accounts, let's say, as you said, we have 10 identities and for every user, 10 account needs to be created in all 10 application, right? Then it will calculate everything. Got it? Rakesh, just adding on top of it, just as an extension. Account understood. Account is an application itself and application user. But with an application user, if that application has 10 modules, I am joining us and finance another guy. There will be a role difference. But irrespective of what it is, when an access is created, you will consider me as an application account, right? And then one account. And that account might have privileges that would be different. We are not even going there at this point. That comes under entitlement. According to your roles and responsibility. We haven't gone to irrespective of the entitlement. The moment I onboarded to a specific application, I'm considered as my enrollment is considered as application account. I have a login at least. Your account got created. The respective permission has been given. Right. That's why I said here, I have mentioned right. We are supposed to manage application. We are supposed to manage permission. Permission is nothing. It's none other than the entitlement. We need to manage user. Correct. We need to automate the process. We need to sometime user will submit a request manually. Then SailPoint has to respond. If I'm going to open the application account, here I can find the same permission work item administrator. Right. The same permission is available here as well. Work item administrator. Got it? Right. Then you guys are familiar with hardware specification, right? How do we define this hardware? I will walk you through the diagram also. Sorry. I'm really sorry. Identity, object Rakesha. Sorry about disturbing the flow. Go ahead. Identity object use. Oh, it's a common term in SailPoint. Let's say whatever item is associated with any identity. In this scenario, you could see entitlement is associated with this identity. Role can be associated with identity. Application account can be associated with identity. This user may violate some policy. Policy violation will be associated with identity. This user may involve in the governance activity. His access will be removed. First, it will be reviewed, then access can be removed. Whatever item object is associated with identity, we'll call it as identity object. When you are going to interact with client, even a small organization, Rakesh, even if there are 100 people initially, it might think that it's a small organization. But when you actually drill down to the requirement, it seems like the requirement is too high. Maybe small is not good enough. Maybe we have to go for AFP, right? Those would be determined depending upon the depth of the requirement. We can go ahead with either medium footprint or large footprint. It depends on their answer and their number. Sure. If it is a non-production environment or if it is a small organization, I would say micro-organization, then they can go ahead with micro footprint. If it is real-time emergency, then obviously they have to adapt either large footprint or they have to go with fifth option. Now let's talk about software. When it comes to software, can anyone have explained what type of software we require in order to set up, implement a point in real-time emergency? Any one of you? Oh, Apache Tomcat. What is that? What is Apache Tomcat? Not exactly. Definitely we need a database as we are going to store the identity data. Correct. But Apache Tomcat is not a database server. Apache Tomcat is an application server basically. I would say, what is application server? I guess it's a server that is used to run SailPoint application. I would say the server which is capable enough to host any Java application. You need to. If you want to run SailPoint, then obviously you need an application server. When it comes to application server, it could be, you can go ahead with, you can pick Apache, Tomcat or WebSphere, WebLogic, JBoss. These are the application server which is available in the market. I would say the most common used one. It's going to be Apache Tomcat. Typically, most of the organization wherever I work, I have noted they will prefer Apache Tomcat as application server. One thing is clear. You need an application server to run Java application. To run Java application, you need one more component, which is Java. Do you know the difference between JDK and Jirari? Any one of you? I guess JDK is Java Development Kit. All the necessary whatever used to and Java runtime environment is to run in real time. Slightly. You need a Java application to host your SailPoint application. JDK Java application has to come. One is JDK, other one is Jali. JDK means it's Java Development Kit and Jari is Java Runtime Environment. We require Jali to run the application server to run SailPoint application in the application server. And we need JDK to debug to troubleshoot SailPoint application. That's the another component. One is application server. The second one is Java application. Third, we need database server because we require to store a lot of data like identity, application accounts, policies and system configuration and a lot of data we need to store. Obviously, we need a database server that we can create database. We can store the data. And SailPoint IQ require RDBMS Relational Database Management System. You can go ahead with Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server or MySQL that you can store all the configuration, identity data, application data, audit logs, lot of different type of data, I would say. Then you need to decide, are they going with Windows operating system? Usually when it comes to Windows, we have a different pace of flavors, right? We can go ahead with 2016 Server or 19. When it comes to Linux, you can go ahead with Redact or CentOS. It depends on what type of operating system they are going to prefer. You need these many items. Application server, database server, Java application. You need to define operating system. We were talking about application server, database server, Java application operating system. That's fine. What about SailPoint software binary? Basically, this is the SailPoint application. Whenever you are performing installation for any application, if it is a Windows machine, you will get X file, right? Executable file. And you can download it from the respective website's portal. Similarly, SailPoint software binaries. You can get it from SailPoint portal. And the extension will be bar. The full form of bar is nothing, it's web archive. This web archive file will contain all the configuration file about SailPoint application, including connector policy template, certification template, lot of things. If you want to manage this IAM process, all these Java class, all the configuration file will be available in the bar file. And this bar file needs to be deployed into application server with the help of Java application. That SailPoint application can be run effectively. We can access SailPoint application and we can store the data in database server. That's it, guys. This is what the software and hardware prerequisite in order to deploy SailPoint application in real time. Any question? Feel free to ask. I'll clarify. Any customization, let's say anyone does after implementing the SailPoint, then it will get stored in the database or in the bar file. How it gets stored? All the data will be stored in the database server one, not in the application, in the process. The workflow. What file will consist? Only those items, those files related to SailPoint application. Give me a minute. I'll log into the Compass community portal. This is the official portal from where you can download all these software binaries. You can download all the plugins and it's like a community portal, right? We can post our questions and we can get the answer from other developers, other partners. I hope you guys have knowledge on the server level. Do you know the difference between UA server, task server, batch server, PR server? What is load balancer? I just know about the load balancer. Load balancer is basically that whenever we have high load, then load balancer automatically distribute the load to the different servers. SailPoint has provided this hardware sizing guide. We can follow this guide document to define the hardware infrastructure. Whatever we discussed here, we can briefly learn from here. Let's say first you need to decide which footprint needs to be selling. We have to interact with client stakeholders. Then we have to ask them the number of fire entities. The number of fire entities is going to get increased over a period of next 3 years, 5 years. Then we have to consider number of manager account applications. See, there is a difference between account and application. Then what about the connectors? We have to ask these many questions. Then we will arrive at one number. Using that number, we can select which footprint we have to pick. Then here you could see, we have these 5 foot. If it is micro, if you are going to manage 5,000 identity object, then you can pick micro footprint. If it is going to be somewhere between 5,000 to 10,000, then you can pick small footprint. And if it is 10,000 to 50,000, it's going to be medium footprint. If it is 50K to 500K, then if it is large footprint more than 500K, you have to get in touch with SailPoint technical team sales engineer and they will be able to get to the same. They will get our requirement. They will help us in the implementation throughout the process. And I forgot to add one more point. SailPoint no longer recommends 32-bit operating system. It has to be 64-bit operating system as well as 64-bit Java application. Any question? Rakesh, when you are logging on the Compass community, but sometime you the access denied. What is problem after this? which means you don't have full permission. You try to log in with your credential, but your domain, corporate domain, will be there. You're trying to log in with email address. Email address will have your corporate domain. Maybe you try with your personal domain, also personal Gmail or Yahoo. If they are not tied up as a SailPoint, if they didn't tied up as a partner or client, then you won't get the full permission. You cannot download software binaries. You cannot download plugin. Got it. That is good. If you just need a partner and client domain address. Correct. Your organization has to tied up with SailPoint as a partner or client. Then only you will get full access, or else you will get minimal access. Or I would say limited access. It's happened automatically. Thank you. Now we'll talk about the data center also. Every footprint will have a hardware specification and we'll see how the data center is going to look like. If it is a micro footprint, you need only one server, one host, host server. Both are same. You need only one host where we will install all the application. All the application means, to say this software binaries. We will install application server database, server Java application. Altogether, we will perform installation in one server. And at least you need 2 core processor, 4 GB RAM. But I would recommend at least you should have 8 GB RAM, 40 GB space. And this is how the data center is going to look like. Only one server we have. We will install everything inside this. And once application is up, user will try to log in. User will try to access SailPoint application. And this micro footprint will be suitable for non-production environment. When it comes to small footprint, you need 2 servers. And each server should have 4 core processor, 8 GB RAM, 50 GB space. When it comes to DB for database, we should have a dedicated server where we should need 250 GB disk space at least. And this is how the data center is going to look like. And here we have load balancer. The load will be split equally into both servers. Then if it is a medium footprint, they have given, we need 5 server, 2 batch server, 2 UI server, 1 DB server. In the previous diagram, they didn't mention about UI server or batch server, right? But in the medium footprint here, we could see we need batch server, UI server, DB server. What does it mean? And task. Basically, this UI server and task server are nothing. This is what the application server. We can go ahead with Apache Tomcat, right? The application server, we will call it as UI server and task server. This all 4 server are UI server. All 4 server are application server. Then we have database server. Always remember database server will be connected to application server. That user can access a point application and the data can be stored in the database. And whenever user require or user need to retrieve the that application server will retrieve the information from DB. And in the last diagram, in the previous diagram, you could see the load balancer would have split the load equally into both servers. But here this load balancer, specifically it's splitting the load into only UI server, not into the task server. Because I would say this is external load balancer. This is internal load balancer. This external load balancer will focus only on UI server. Because let's say this is a SailPoint application. This is a SailPoint URL. If 1,000 people are going to access this URL at the same time, basically it's a UI server URL, which means all the load will be assigned to UI server one way. There are more chances UI server may crash. What should we do? Instead of providing this UI server URL, we will provide load balancer URL. That user will hit load balancer URL. If 1000 people are going to access this URL at the same time, the load balancer URL will split the load equally into two UI servers. Let me repeat once again. This is an external load balancer which will focus only on UI server. And SailPoint has its built load balancer which will decide the requirement or the request from user, whether it's going to process by UI server or task server. It will be decided by SailPoint in built load balancer. Obviously, when user tried to access this link, we will consider as a request, or I would say incoming traffic, whether the incoming traffic should be processed by UI server or task server. Always remember, it's very simple. If any incoming traffic or any request from the user, if it takes less time to process, then it will be assigned to UI server. Such as I try to access this link now. I try to click on home page. It won't take much time. It will process immediately. Then I will try to onboard an application. It will process immediately. These kind of UI level load will be managed by this user. Then what is task server? The moment user is going to submit access request, it requires certain level of approval. Once approvals are in place, then access can be provisioned, right? It's an entire process. It will take more time to complete this activity. Those kind of incoming traffic from the user, it will be assigned to task server. In real-time NCs, we will have two types of load balancer. One is SailPoint in built load balancer. Nobody is going to talk about that. Always, we will talk about external load balancer. External load balancer, it's pretty simple. It will split the UI load equally. Is that clear? First part. External load balancer will focus only on UI server. Because obviously users are going to access a point application, all the business people, all the users from the organization. When they are going to access this application, there are more chances the UI server may go crash. To handle that scenario, we will provide load balancer URL to all the users. They will try to access load balancer URL. That the load balancer can split the load equally into all the available server, all the available UI server. Is that clear? This is external load balancer activity. Then what is internal load balancer? SailPoint has an input load balancer which will decide whether the incoming traffic from the user it should go to UI server or it should go to task server. If any request from the user, it takes less time to process. Then it will go to UI server. Any request will take more time to process. It will be assigned to task server. That's it. There is no arrow mark for task server because it is. That's why I said nobody will talk about internal load balancer. You have to understand that. Because it's a part of inbuilt. It's part of the product inbuilt feature. And always remember the UI server and task server are nothing. It's actual application server. And we have database. Now imagine a scenario. It's a micro-medium footprint, which means somewhere between 10,000 to 50,000 object. We are going to manage using this footprint, right? What if I'm going to say we have to manage between 50,000 to 5,000, then obviously that you need to manage a lot of data. You have to go with large footprint, right? Then again the same setup, but the number of server is going to increase. They have given only 5 server, But in real time, it will somewhere between 7 server to 10 server, at least 2. And then at least you need 3 task server, 3 UI server, 1 DB server, 2 DB server. I would say it will be more than 2 also sometimes. See the same diagram, but here we have 2 database, but in real time it will be more than that. Here, what should we do? All the database should connect through single instance, which is called database cluster. We need to implement database cluster functionality that all the database can be connected through single instance. And the database cluster will be connected through application server. That user can retrieve the information. User will try to access SailPoint application using this load balancer. URL that user can access SailPoint UI menu. And from this UI menu, SailPoint can retrieve the information from the backend from the database. And the fifth option, it's going to be call option, which means if we are decided to manage more than 5,000 or 500k identity object, we have to get in touch with SailPoint technical team and sales engineer, and they will help us in the implementation. That's it. You guys are clear about the software and hardware prerequisite, right? And you know the SailPoint advantages, and you know the different product of SailPoint and how to select any one of these products. My next question, who will perform this installation in real time? If it is your local machine, obviously you can install on your own. And shall I ask, which footprint will you prefer for your local installation, local machine installation? Large and medium maybe. For your local machine. Local is micro, sorry. If it is real time, obviously you have to go with a larger call option. If it is large, then according to the scalability, we can increase the number of servers. As of now, we are going to pick micro footprint. We need only one server to install SailPoint. And in real time, which team are supposed to install this SailPoint application? Apps team or infra team? Obviously, infrastructure team is going to involve as a SailPoint developer engineer. We are not going to involve in this process, right? There will be dedicated infrastructure team. They are responsible to install SailPoint in real-time emergencies. Not one infrastructure. There are different type of teams, typically to involve a combination of different teams. We require a team, identity and access management team. Basically, they are responsible. I would say AIM team is usually responsible for all overall strategies and the implementation of this product, SailPoint product. Then we need IT infrastructure team. They handle all the underlying hardware and network setup. Because each server should be connected through single instances, they need to perform all the network connections should be enabled. Firewall needs to be enabled. A lot of things they will perform from there. And they will ensure the necessary server and infrastructure are in place. Then we require security and compliance team. They will ensure installation follow all the security policies and all the requirement. They will overview from there. We need to ensure that we are in place. And sometimes we require PMO team, also project management office, because we need to interact with stakeholders also, right? Whatever process, whatever activities we are performing needs to communicate among all the stakeholders. We need a PMO team, also project management team. They will oversee all the project timeline. They will manage resources and they will allocate resource. They will communicate between all the stakeholders. Everything they will manage. And sometimes, if you're not able to manage everything on your own, we can depend on some third-party vendors or consultant. I have seen often companies partnered with a specialized vendor or consultant. Whoever is having expertise on this product implementation, deploying this application, they can hire them. They can hire state party vendor also. I would say by collaborating among the peace team, we can implement SailPoint in real time. I think yesterday somebody is asking about complaints and governance, something right? You understood the difference between complaints and governance. Governance or complaints, like that governance managing people, like that governor, everything like that monitor the identity. What is happening? What attack? Everything's correct. First, we will create all the internal policies. We have to define all the process. Once we define this, all the organization level, once we define all the policies and the process, it will be very easy to manage all the identities and their access effectively. Correct? First, we should provide a clear guidelines. We have to define the requirements. How user will get the access to different application. For what type of users, what type of application access needs to be given. Who will approve? Who will review the user access? Yesterday we were talking about review part, right? Because when it comes to governance, review is very important. I would say 8% review is very important. Then, other than that, we need to ensure who will approve the request. What type of access needs to be given? We have to define everything. Basically, we should have a clear guidelines. This management comes under governance. That if the governance are in place, we can ensure everything. All these things, all the IM process are in proper control. And what is compliance? Compliance is like a policy of the organization. Like for example, any user validity got expired, then they should not able to access any system. Something like similar like this. Correct. Compliance is all about we have to make sure organization follow the rules and regulations. Whatever clear guidelines we have defined, all the organization has to follow the rules and regulations related to IT. Which means if it is a compliance, only authorized people can have access to certain application. There is a thin line difference between compliance and governance. You have to understand. On eye level, I would say governance is all about creating internal policies process and we have to ensure access is secure. Everything has to be managed well and it needs to be aligned with business speed, everything. And review is very important part. That's why you guys are learning SailPoint. All the organization will prefer to implement SailPoint to manage all the governance activity, to resolve all the governance issues. When it comes to large organization, for them it will be very difficult to manage the governance or to perform governance activity. According to Cardinal's report, SailPoint has been the market leader for last 7 years in the governance area, identity governance and PlayStation area. And when it comes to compliance, we can ensure whether IM will ensure companies are following the rules and regulations, how access is given and managed to be. How do you get the license? How to get the license? How are you able to? We don't have license for SailPoint. First of all, they won't provide this product. If you want to perform installation, they won't provide. Rakesh, yesterday you said you'll check for him consultant, a SailPoint consultant or something. I was about to ask you this. Just a minute. Can you repeat your question? Oh, actually, after this course, can we apply for him consultant or SailPoint consultant types roles? Because I was not that good in coding. I won't. No. You can apply for EM consultant, but the coding is not required if you're going to act as a consultant. But you should have a product knowledge. When you are talking about IRM, consultant team, you understood what is CM, what is SailPoint. Now, right? If you're good at SailPoint product, then obviously you can apply for the IM consultant, but you should have an overall knowledge about the IM process. Product knowledge is not sufficient. You should have a depth knowledge about AKM as well. After this course, I need this course plus some other knowledge. You have to enhance your knowledge. Got it. Whether it's SailPoint or we are talking about AM, at the end we are going to manage these many AM processes. Correct. Audit compliance, governance compliance, user onboarding application, onboarding access management, right? You should be good at this area if you want to become AM consultant. But let's say you are going to give interview for SailPoint administrator, SailPoint developer or QA engineer. Then you have to know this process from SailPoint product point of view. How to configure, where to configure, how to troubleshoot. Actually, I'm working as a business operations analyst in SailPoint itself from 3 years. Then your day-to-day activity would be to interact with stakeholders, get their requirement and pass it to developers or engineers, right? No, actually it's like we have just provisioning, account creations and just extension of their accounts. That's it. Then you are not actual BA. Business analysts, they are active, they will be different. You are working as an administrator. Maybe you are working as a SailPoint tech guy. Not as a panelist. Even I got that out when I asked. Because in the implementation also, I said, right, we require multiple teams to implement SailPoint. Correct. Similarly, we need a project management team. I said PMO. Because they are the one who is going to communicate between all the stakeholders, developers, everything, right? Similarly, we need to be a business analyst to get the requirement from client and they will pass it to developers. They are going to act as a mediator between business and tech team. As you said, if you're going to involve in the provisioning, administration, I would say administration, or maybe if you are focusing on one area, if it is certification only, then you are going to come. You comes under governance or compliance. It's just like the user onboarding and rehire process. That's it. User onboarding and rehire, then obviously it comes under compliance. And maybe I would say administration and their extensions. And if anything is disabled or inactive, rehiring, running rehire tasks, that's it. Then it comes under operational. Operation. Instead of business operations, just SailPoint operations, right? I just want to upscale and go further. I would recommend first try to spend more time on SailPoint product. Try to learn all these product features, functionality, everything. Then you can decide. Parallel. Rakesh, once we do the installation, even though you might not, How much you cover in terms of access inside, I don't know. But if there is any elaborate material, we would actually play around because already it's available in the LMS portal. The one thing, I cannot provide these notes on a daily basis because I don't have access to the portal. It needs to be uploaded by the support team and I'm supposed to share on a daily basis. It's not possible. Better, you can take a snapshot from here. At the end, I will ensure this can be uploaded also. This note. We can take one snapshot that it will be in our local. You can refer right. And one more point. I guess I just extend the Janavi question. Basically, what are the as I know that every IMM tool is based on this. Some programming language it needs like JavaScript, Java or maybe other programming language. What is the programming language we need to learn to become a self-pen shell? How about the pen shell language? Pen shell language. Pen shell. Pen shell. Pen shell is a combination of Java plus XL. We are going to apply all the Java logic in the XML script. That's what we should. Rakesh, just one question. When a user wants to access an application, to raise a request for an access for an application, would he also have to log into SailPoint or would it be any other external app? Which means all the employee will have access to SailPoint to raise a request. Correct. I mean till 2015, I would say Active Directory or some other application used to act as authoritative application. That's going to be the primary application which will manage all other user access. But it's not the case anymore. From HR application directly, the data will be sent to SailPoint and SailPoint is a primary application which will manage everything. If you want to make it, SailPoint will automate all the account creation in the target application. Which means, Rakesh, all the employees, 100% of the employees will have access to SailPoint. All the users will have access to SailPoint. I raise requests. My manager will again go to SailPoint. He will approve. Everything inside the workflow will happen inside the SailPoint. Is it viable? Many concurrent users, if you say take a MNC, many people unnecessarily have access to SailPoint just for raising requests. Not unnecessarily. Every user has to. I'll clarify your question. Are you from India or the US? Let's take an example. Are you familiar with Capital One Bank, Royal Bank of Canada State? All of them are based at Bangalore. Most of them. Bangalore, right. And all these companies, SailPoint has been implemented. And if I'm not wrong, we have user records more than 1 million. And we have more than 6,000 applications we are managing. Which means each and every user will have access to SailPoint application. Maybe if you don't want to manage that much user, then you have to deviate. Only employees and contractor access will be managed using SailPoint application. All other customer access can be managed using any other IAM product. There can be any other simple IAM product where they can raise a request. ServiceNow. And my organization will raise requests for ServiceNow. Here also, we will raise the request from ServiceNow to troubleshoot the issue. But if you need an access, you cannot submit a request from ServiceNow. If it is a non-conforming application, that's also possible. But let's say, if you need an access, we would recommend the user can go to SailPoint application. They can submit a request from there. But if the application is not available or application is not integrated in SailPoint, then they have to rely on Sierra ServiceNow that they can submit a request The request will directly go to application team. They will create the account. Why any application will not be onboarded into SailPoint, Rakesh? Or maybe they are still in the process. Maybe you have joined an organization now, or it's been a while. Obviously they will try to onboard all the application with SailPoint that they can automate. Maybe they are in the process of onboarding, but it will take some time. By the end, we will leave the organization. Because when I'm talking about 6,000 applications till last 12 years, they are onboarding. Still, we have a dedicated onboarding team. And still we are onboarding all these applications and we are attached to the application. If somebody want to move from Savient to SailPoint at a later, when they mature, really grown up, they thought that Savient is not good. Then it is like a major exercise, right? Migrate all of them. It's not major exercise. I would say from my personal point of view, Savient and SailPoint both will process. Both are effective tools. The UI design, the product features, functionality will be different, but you are going to perform both same activity in both products. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.